Hi, we are Crawlers and welcome to episode 2 of the Can't Even podcast. That's right. These bitches let us do a second episode.
How did that happen?
I know. If you want to check out episode 1, see what it's all about, make sure you check it out. But for now, let's get into it. We start every episode with
a proverb.
Let's introduce ourselves before we get started.
I'm Amy.
I'm Holly.
I'm Liv.
I'm Harry.
And we are Crawlers.
Guys, we kind of got lower. That was like a xylophone.
I'm Amy. I'm Holly. I'm Liv. I'm Harry.
And we are Crawlers.
And we are
And we make terrible...
Jessie J!
We have forgotten the most important member as well.
And
Oh, and
Soup.
Soup.
We've got Soup.
Soup's mute.
And we make terrible music.
We made terrible music
With terrible proverbs.
that the gays love.
Anyway,
We write music for the gays.
like
Sorry,
I
the
was
gays
saying
only.
in the first episode, if you missed it, go and listen to
What
it.
are you doing?
What are you doing?
We have a proverb book that we live by. We open every day that we're together with a proverb from this book. Some of them are dreadful, some of them are great, some of them don't make sense. But every time we're in the studio, it's got us through some time.
I
So
think most
You
of them are
can't pick. It's
dreadful.
got to be rando as well, because
We've-
otherwise...
yeah, so we're making a tradition that we're gonna open every podcast with a proverb, and I have been given that job. So I'm gonna do it with my other hand this time.
Okay,
So I'm just
go on.
gonna
Is this
whatever
the
it
unlucky
lands
hand?
on is getting
Okay.
spoken.
Yeah,
Okay.
do it. What does
Don't
that
think,
even
don't think,
mean?
just
You've
read
gotta
it, just
say
read
it.
it.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
I've heard that one before.
Necessity is the mother of
Like if
invention.
you
That's-
need,
hey,
if,
that's
you need
Actually, that makes sense.
if you need something sorted, then you need to invent something to sort it.
I was sad, so I made sad music.
The explanation of necessity is the mother of invention is the need to often spur to the creative process.
The man needed a wheel, so the wheel was made.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes.
It's true.
I think
Bitches
it's
need
more-
to pick up their Mackies
like,
at
no,
like
it's like-
12 p.m. through the drive-thru, so they said, bitch, I need a wheel.
And God bless.
Like
they
a
made one.
man needed to get somewhere quickly, so he invented the wheel. I
Yeah.
feel like you can't really say a man needed a wheel, so he invented the wheel.
Imagine going, you know what
Kind
would
of
be
takes
pretty
the
neat?
poetry out of it.
A
Man needed
need-
electricity, so we made electricity.
We're going to talk this episode about life on tour and also feature our first Agony Ant section where we as Crawlers are going to give you advice. And it's probably going to be terrible because we're in our young 20s and
What do we know?
what do we know? We
We
I
we're
don't even know
also-
what day we're
We're
on.
also
Fail
very
maths.
different at giving advice. Like me and Harry are very direct. Liv and Holly are very
Emotional.
emotional, very nurturing people.
Yeah.
Whereas
I-
me and Amy just like fucking knock
Crack
it off.
on.
knock it off.
Knock it
Knock it
off.
off.
What we
So
doing?
we're gonna begin our podcast as always, which is what have we learned about this week? Whether it's politics, something that's happened this week that has affected us to the extent.
Well, I've been watching Love Is Blind,
I have been watching Love Is Blind.
and well, we watched it together last night. And
Have you
say
just
about
started it?
I've just started the new season that's just come out, right? And the most iconic... I've never watched any of the other seasons,
So
but
good.
I just know that this moment is going to be iconic for the rest of its history. So what happened was they obviously like date, and it's like you don't see the other person. So the concept of the show is, can you fall in love with someone without seeing them physically? So yeah, so people are dating in that kind of way without seeing each other. And now I think her name's Tiff. I can't remember what the other guy's name is. But they get to a point where they're like, you know, like starting to like fall in love with each other, you know, without seeing each other. So they're trying to progress, and then they'll get married at some point. This is all within the show. It's very chaotic. Don't really understand it
Yeah,
yet.
the point is they like propose straight away or
They
something.
Yeah.
propose like within like a week. It's ridiculous, but you know, people move quick. So in this one episode, the guy of the relationship was saying how much he was like into this girl, and like how much he was like falling in love with her, and like he could see a future with her, and you know, all this like typical spiel of like, you know, when you'd probably ask the question. And she fell asleep.
Obviously, he can't see her because she's in a box.
Oh my
Yeah,
God, she didn't.
So he's like, I think her name's Tiff. So he was like,
I think I've seen this.
Tiff,
episode.
And she's literally there like,
Is this the new season? Did you say?
yeah, she's conked, like asleep. But to him, he's receiving that as, oh my God, she's not into me.
No.
So he leaves the room, goes back to the boys' house, and is like, I'm so fucking done. I'm so fucking done with Tiff. And she's like literally just like conked on the sofa.
Oh my
is gonna
I
be-
can't
god.
believe like some of the premises of reality shows these days.
Oh, they're
like
awful.
you know you're not gonna fall in love with someone that quick.
But people
But
have
you get
lasted on
swept
it.
in it though. I think you get like a little bit. Obviously, like I've not been there, but you get swept in though. There's a few times like I've been like, do you remember in like school trips? Like sometimes you'd just be like, I don't know.
Where's this going?
What?
You know, you feel school trips and, you know.
No, but like
Are you
you
saying
get
you
swept
fell in
the
love with
moment.
someone on a school trip?
What you mean, like the romance of a situation?
Yeah, I think like you know when you
Yeah,
go on
but-
a holiday with your parents and there'd be that person in the villa and you're there for a week and you're
Yeah,
like, I've been
but you're like
wrong.
you're 13 years old at that point. You're not like
Oh, I
30
get ya.
on a reality TV show.
No, and the thing is with
Money.
like the Love is Blind is like obviously everyone's American and by nature they're just so much more expressive
And
than
dramatic,
we are,
yeah.
and so
Yeah.
dramatic. So the way he walked out of that room, I just
I'm done with her.
would encourage anyone to watch it. Anyway,
I
that's
feel,
my
I feel like
highlight
I've
of the
actually
week.
gotten into reality shows recently because you start off watching them being like, oh, I just want to like talk over it and just I know how trashy this TV show is. But then you do find yourself being like, oh shit, I'm caught up in this.
It
now.
does suck you in.
It's
I
annoying
honestly,
though. I hate myself for it.
it's the thing is though, I try. This is what makes me worse than other people is that I'm watching it in like an investigatory David Attenborough sense, and it's like no, I'm just sucked into the same trash. I'm just trying to make an excuse
What
for
was that
myself.
sound ages ago? It's like, it's from Peep Show. And he's like, I'm undercover.
I'm undercover. That's literally how I feel watching Love Island, but I still watch it every
Have you
time.
seen Perfect Match?
I've
Where-
not
where they,
seen
where they
Perfect
get
Match.
like people like the best people from all reality shows and they get them together in like.
Do you
one
know what
hour.
was a great show that was along these lines? Don't Tell the Bride. Does anyone
Love-
remember?
Oh, that
Don't
was-
tell
Oh
the bride.
my God,
Man,
what a
like,
show.
You'd be screaming at TV
but
because
they'd
like
always fuck it up like
they
every
would,
time.
but they'd only pick, and they'd be like, "I just want my dream fairy tale wedding." Right, so we're having a rugby club. We're going to be drinking out of people's tits, and then we're going to have a wrestling school where we get married. That is what they
It
do
would, it
every
actually
time.
would. It's
No,
so funny.
it was brilliant.
She's gonna fucking love it. She's gonna love it.
We met in Ibiza, so we're going to get married in Ibiza with her wearing a tutu.
Right, but this is what I don't understand though. Like, if you're gonna marry someone and they know nothing about you, like they wouldn't even know what dress you'd want, what ring you'd want.
I
like,
think it's
although it
just
doesn't matter.
generally just men being stupid.
But this
I feel
is
like
what I mean.
surely
Like,
they
although like the
must, sorry, go on.
It's alright. I was just saying, like, although the material stuff like doesn't like obviously matter, like if someone doesn't know you well enough at all to be able to plan a wedding, or if you don't trust yourself enough to be able to plan a wedding and spend it all on like your bachelor party, why are you getting married?
I'm getting Mark to plan my wedding.
You know, weddings are like thousands. Like the average wedding is like 20 grand or something.
Really?
That is
Yeah, like that's
ridiculous.
fucking crazy. You don't need that. Just hire a British Legion, get pissed,
Me.
open bar, easy.
I feel like everyone, like, obviously, I feel like people with divorced parents, like, I feel like everyone
Here we
becomes. If you have divorced parents, you become a cynic as well. Like,
The
I'm just
agony-
like, why
the-
would you get married?
The
why?
agony aunt section is later. Holly.
Oh, what? Hi, crawlers. My mum and dad.
Imagine you writing in like it's sob
It's actually
a sob story.
Anonymous.
I was gonna say if all of us had just written in anonymously with like our own problems,
It would be a really tough episode.
We should do that like one, but we just slide in
Oh
like
my
a
it
real
would get
one.
so depressing very
Oh,
quickly.
I mean, listen, take her name.
I was gonna say, have we all listened to our own songs? It would just be
No, don't like him.
I hate them crowds.
drove my car off a bridge.
My weekly thing is it's a bit of a random one, but it's kind of been tinkering in my brain. So Elon Musk has decided that the For You page on Twitter is now only going to show people who've subscribed to Twitter Blue, which is obviously like
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know.
So you have to pay for Twitter Blue.
yes. So Twitter Blue is $8 a month, and he's used
$8 a month.
Yeah, so
for
he's-
Twitter.
Yeah, so he's used this premise.
Fucking hell.
Capitalism.
Yeah, he's used this premise that this will get rid of bots. But I have never seen a bot on scrolling through Twitter ever. Twitter's like, obviously, for me, it's so toxic. Like, I scroll and I'm like, oh God, this is all awful. But like, I'm still very addicted to it. I do read a lot of my shit from Twitter. And finding this out, like, the idea, like, can you imagine being so rich that you just get to buy the biggest social media company
And fuck it up.
And fuck it. He's fucked up so much.
He's made every wrong
Everything.
call.
It used to be the best app. Like Twitter lived through when every app had stories, when every app was thingy. Twitter lived through that, and every website was screenshots of Twitter. It's that good. And now it's just Every day
trash.
it's Elon going, okay, I've fucked up.
The thing is though, like he's done this before with like the verification, and everyone kicked off and he got rid of it.
So
Like
you can
it's still there
pay.
now,
You
though.
can pay to be verified on Twitter.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't think you need that. All you need is 2-step verification for
Exactly.
an account. That's it.
Yeah.
That solves the problem. You don't need to pay for
It's what they
it.
do on like Tinder now. And it also like, because we're obviously
Wait, you do
verified.
that on Tinder?
Yeah, you have to be verified now on Tinder because
Oh,
otherwise
for
it wouldn't.
God's
But
But it makes sense.
that makes sense
Otherwise you
for
wouldn't be
all
meeting
social
strangers.
media.
No,
Literally every
on
social
Tinder
media
it's
should
so
have
it's
that.
like you have to do like 2 steps so you're not a catfish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that
it's
makes
like
more sense.
it's not like
I think all
I
social
thought it was
media
like
should
a
have
premium account thing. I was
No,
like,
no. You can get premium on Tinder.
sorry,
but-
Harry.
that. No, I was just saying all social media should have that.
No, I agree. And I think with Twitter, it's like so funny because obviously we got our blue tick just while everything was going on. Because for us, I'm not going to lie, like every single
Just dropping the blue
Just
tick.
like-
Having the blue tick thing.
Just like
can't
stop
relate, Harry,
watching
'cause
that.
don't
none
speak
of
to
us-
me.
I also got my blue tick.
Harry's the only one with a blue tick on like any social.
Holly,
I don't know why that
who
is.
was it that got rejected? You.
Me.
You all got rejected.
We
I've
all got
not-
rejected.
I got
You
rejected.
Rejected.
What I'm saying is Instagram is misogynistic.
I haven't applied. To be fair,
I'm gonna try and
I
play it.
haven't applied.
But this is Twitter. Is
I don't
the-
give in to the verification.
When I was speaking to our label, because obviously our label helped getting us verified, they were honest and went, Twitter is the hardest to get verified on. Like we needed to have like, I think it was like 10 news articles about what we'd done. It was like really, we had to have all of our licenses like to get verified, right? So it took ages. Like Twitter was the last thing we got verified on. And then no joke, like 4 months later, like if you pay $, blue tick.
Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, and I fall for it every time. Like I see a big account and I click the blue tick and I'm like, oh, this person's subscribing.
It does,
rather than-
it does tell you though when you click on it.
Yeah,
like
but you
if
do
it's a
have to.
paid verification or if you've like earned it, quote unquote.
I don't have Twitter, so I feel like
Yeah,
really out of the
neither.
loop at the
I
moment.
did.
Yeah,
years ago.
it's Twitter's a bit crazy at the minute because like obviously AI has really developed over the past few like months, and they've just like there was that picture of the Pope that went viral. You know, the picture of the Pope with the like North Face jacket on, but it was AI, and they'd blurred it slightly so it looked like it was legit, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, the Pope's like repping Versace, whoa!" And everyone, it took ages for people to work out it was
Pope's got drip.
Yeah, everyone was like, "Pope's got drip, Pope's fucking slamming."
Pope has Riz.
It took ages for people to realize like, oh,
So ridiculous.
it's AI. But it's the same like that video of Harry Styles kissing that girl. A lot of people are like, has anyone noticed that this could be AI because videos have got thingy? It's like, oh my god,
That's terrifying.
it's terrifying. And the voice thing as well. Taylor Swift nearly got cancelled because someone just like text her stuff in AI. So Twitter's a scary place,
That's
guys.
fucked. That's so crazy. Because you could just type in like something ridiculous and then like put it through a phone or something, so it's like muffled a little bit.
That's what they
I
did.
love like seeing. I keep seeing these things on TikTok where it's like they get AI to listen to like say something like Eminem and Amy Winehouse at the same time, and then you'll give it a topic. Say like the topic's like crisps, right?
And
And
then
then
make a
it'll
song out
make
of
a
it.
song
Crisp.
in the
Yeah.
style of Eminem, Amy Winehouse about crisps.
But some
Just
of them
like
are
that.
so good.
But some of them are sick, and it's
Yeah.
just like the songwriting industry is so fucked anyway. And now there's
Yeah.
AI.
Well, it's the
Isn't-
same with artists, wasn't it? Is that what you were gonna say?
No, but a similar thing. I swear there's now like a whole like YouTube short series on like Obama, Trump, and Joe Biden all like interacting and being friends, and it's like a spoof.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like it sounds so realistic.
Oh, the AIs are like I said that one with Taylor Swift. I think it was being like, "Oh, you're all poor and can't come to my show," but it was in her voice, and loads of people were like, "What the fuck? This is too far." But obviously, like,
Have you seen? There's that TV show recently on like Channel 4 or something about deep fakes, and it's all just like celebrities living in the same
Weird, right?
road. I think that's fucking hilarious.
It was hilarious, but it's really
It is weird because it's
right?
like Tyson Fury complaining about Robbie Williams. Like, it's so funny.
What about you guys? What have you had this week?
Nothing really.
Clearly, we don't live very interesting.
We don't live
lives.
very
Mine,
inter-
mine
it's
was
been a
Love
week.
is Blind. Holly's was Twitter.
I like being a little hermit crab, to be honest. It's very rare that like sometimes I'll actually see someone
What's going on with your rats?
with my ratties.
Yeah,
They're
No,
still
no,
rats.
They're old.
still rats.
They're old. The little old boys. It's really actually quite heartbreaking to look at them because like I just see them as little chocolate mice still.
I know.
and
I'm in the
they're
same
old.
position with my dog at the minute, Murphy, because he's an old
Oh.
boy.
Yeah,
You
but
know
didn't
when
you
you get
find
a
out
text
he was a
from your
year
parents?
younger?
We
like,
found out
recently?
he was a year younger, yeah, because we got him like kind of as like a rescue, and we just kind of forgot one of the years. So
How-
we
how
thought.
old is he now?
So he's 13,
God, he is old.
and he's nearly 14.
I love his little snowflake face. Grace.
I know.
A little grey
He's so
hairs.
cute, your dog.
He's definitely an old
Murphy
man,
will
though.
live forever.
He has to.
I honestly
has to.
can't imagine the day, guys. Like,
No,
I'm
stop.
I
actually...
don't want to think about it.
I'm actually gonna be taking sick leave. Like,
No,
I'm
that's
actually
I think
having
we
a
all
Amy,
will.
we all will.
I'm gonna be having a career break.
I had
We're
like
gonna go on hiatus.
I was
Again.
so upset 'cause I was looking through bits of Snapchat for this project a week ago we were doing here, and it was when I was looking at your Lola, I was like,
Yeah, I used to have a dog called Lola who was like the
Rest in power.
rest in power queen, who was like the sweetest girl, and yeah, it was quite heartbreaking. She was pretty young as well when we lost her.
yeah,
That was like the worst part.
She was so beautiful. Yeah, I don't want to ever get a message like my mum the other day sent me a WhatsApp. It was actually when we were in South by a few weeks ago, and I put, oh my God, Phoebe Bridgers was performing at the airport that I was at, but no one told me with Boy Genius. And then my mum, there was a few spaces, and then she goes, bad news, and put like this emoji.
Like the crying emoji.
I was like, oh my God, Nan's dead. I was like, no, I'm sorry, that is a scary message to get off your
that
mum.
is like anxiety 101.
There's like certain people who will phone me who never phone me.
Like your dad, you
And,
say your dad.
Like, if my dad phones me, or like a friend that never calls me, I'm like, who's died?
Yeah.
Well, that was it. And then when I was like, Mum, what do you mean? What do you mean? She was like, oh, it was a shame that you missed Boy Genius. I know they're one of your favourite bands. I was
You're
like,
like,
I was like, what? I fucking thought the
You're like
dog was
having
dead.
you're having a panic attack.
Nan's dead.
No, honestly, I was there in bed like, I'm going to have a fucking attack. Well, guys, I thought that this episode, before we move on to our well-received Agony Ant section, we'd give a few touring anecdotes, because obviously we're a band, if you're someone who just listens. We're actually a Pitbull cover band.
I knew you were going to make that joke.
How did
Straight
you know
away,
that?
I knew you were
Fuck's
going to
sake,
make
I'm
that
predictable now. We're actually the Spice Girls, and
Hang on a minute. Nobody told me that we were a band.
we
I'm here
dragged
for-
Liv
I'm-
off the street.
I'm here for shits
What
and
is
giggles.
this?
We found Liv in Affleck's palace and just took him.
joke. We're just going to start podcasting full time now.
Yeah, this is actually my
I
job.
love that.
Sorry, I keep interrupting.
Oh no, don't be silly. But obviously it's going to talk about a few touring anecdotes, because obviously touring is probably, there's a few stories that we just refer to all the time because it was just so funny. Like we spoke before about Einstein's theory of relativity. Like it's Jess, our photographer, just comes out with the funniest things on tour.
She's a one-liner kind of
She's a
person.
one-liner. I think you've got to
But
say.
there's so many stories on tour where it's like it's just so niche.
Yeah.
It's like it's difficult. It's going to be very difficult to translate.
You
how
do
Yeah.
become a
stories
different. You
are.
come home
It's
like with a different
very,
language.
very character building. It's like genuinely like the worst and the best
Yeah,
days.
it's horrific.
Like
but I love
you
it.
go
Literally, like-
home forgetting how to communicate with everyone who isn't
Yeah.
in your tour squad.
Because it's literally like you kind of go a little mad while you're on tour, because you're all in like close quarters with each other for hours on end, like not really sleeping, not really eating properly. And you start coming up with like, I think you just go a little crazy,
Yeah.
and you all end up on the same
Tell
wavelength of crazy.
the story of someone else. Tell it, because I've been speaking a lot of when we first set off for tour from Wigan, and Sam had broke down, and then
Okay.
and then
Oh,
there was
poor
this
Sam.
thing with Jess.
Yeah, so obviously this was our first tour with our new sound engineer called Sam. He is an absolute angel. And we'd had this awful thing. We were supposed to just going in one van, but luckily for us, you guys really want our merch when we go on tour. So we couldn't fit all the merch that we kind of printed into the van. So we were like, shit, what are we going to do? And Sam was like, I have a spare van. I can take some of the merch in my van and it'll be sorted. And we were like, oh, Sam, that's so kind. All right, let's do that. So Sam stuffs his little red transit van, like kind of a quarter size of a normal kind of Sprinter. He hops into it, right? And then we're down the M6 having a great, we're having a laugh.
On our way to Bristol.
On our way to Bristol. It's a huge drive from Wigan to Bristol. We're having a little bit of laugh. Already at this point, we'd come up with like a few memes. Like there was that, what was it? Gillespie or something. There was like, we just
Gillespie.
Gillespie, that was it. I can't.
Oh,
That
your
isn't- that's
husband.
not even worth trying to
I'm not going
explain.
to explain it. I'm not going to
Like-
explain Gillespie.
like we'd already gone mad.
We've already gone insane, okay?
And we hadn't left.
And we hadn't even left like the M6. So we're like, I'm hungry. And obviously we've got this like 5'2" Scouse man driving us around. And we're there going, I'm hungry. And the only thing opens Burger King. So we pull over. And then Mark gets a call off Sam, who's obviously just caught us up in his car with the thingy. And he goes, I've just lost a wheel on the M6. I've just lost a wheel on the M6. I've skidded down. So he has not only lost a wheel that's now flown down the M6.
But he said he was driving and then he saw the wheel going whilst he was on the motorway. He saw the wheel like go out in front of him. He
This
was
was
like,
day
"What the fuck's
zero.
going on?"
Day zero.
We'd literally not even been on the road an hour at this point.
So you're gonna lose your head a little bit, and obviously Sam's really shaken up. And we're like, we'll meet you at like where you're just about to come pull over. So he was having this van come and bring us off at this like McDonald's, off this like service stop. And at this point, obviously, being in a van with like, I think there's like a crew of like 8. Obviously, we're all a bit like this. And
We're all like, it got off to
Muddled.
a bad start. It was like we didn't have enough space for everyone. We didn't have enough space for the merch. Like we were all like super cramped in this van.
So Jess, our photographer.
Meanwhile, Jess,
Jess, our photographer,
Oh, bless her.
she has Invisalign. If you don't know what Invisalign is, it's kind of like a retainer that you kind of thingy, but it is expensive, right? But she loses, just for context, before she goes too insane in the viewer's eye, but she loses her Invisalign, right? So we pull over and she gets out and goes, guys, I've lost my teeth.
I've lost
I've lost my teeth. And we're like, what?
But she's
But
like
it was
proper
like,
stressed. She's like, guys, no, I've like lost my teeth.
and then
We
jump
all
out.
we all get out the van and we're looking for her Invisalign while she's sat down and we're like going under like all the bags, looking under the seats and that, and we're like, sorry, just like
She goes-
we can't find it. She's like, right, well they only cost $1,500. So can you just look again, please?
She was like, guys, can we look a bit harder,
No, but
please?
the funny
She's not looking.
The funny thing was like obviously Sam is like literally on the back of an AA truck at this point, which
Yeah.
is like obviously who tows you off the motorway.
Like, bless him,
And then-
probably looks like he's seen a ghost.
And because she'd lost a teeth, she had to move on to the next set of teeth, which would like obviously hurt a mouth. So she goes up to Sam,
who's
just seen
just
his
lost
life
a
flash
wheel.
before his
on
yeah,
the
it's
motorway.
just could have
saw
died.
his life flash before his eyes, and I don't know if this story is funny to anyone other than us, but it's absolutely hilarious. She goes up to Sam and she goes, "Babe, I know how you feel. I've just lost my teeth."
She goes, I've just had to take a paracetamol too.
And we're like, that's not the same thing.
He's lost his van. And also, forgot to mention, he'd already broke another van. This was the second van of the day, and his wheel had gone down the motorway.
But the thing was, like, as we had like pulled up to like meet Sam, Mark was like trying to chat to the guy because Sam was like clearly shaken up, and
He was, bless him.
Mark was trying to like sort this thing with this guy, and Jess is like, Mark, while he's talking, she's like, Mark, I'm really sorry. Do you have a paracetamol? I'm in agony.
Mark.
Like, we're making it sound really horrible, but
we
it
love
was
Jess
hilarious.
so much. You just can't beat touring. I just think you just come up with the absolute stories
Honestly,
that really do. Are you guys ready to do some agony aunting?
agony.
Which
Let's
is
do it.
funny because it's featuring 3 actual aunties. Florence
Yes.
Marie, your sister's cat.
We're
right?
counting that.
I thought you meant you 3. I was like,
You're like, what about Florence Marie, my cat?
I was like, hello, I am an auntie.
It's just no, because every time me and Holly talk about being aunties, you're always like, "I'm an auntie."
I am an auntie.
You
I'm
always-
literally an auntie.
These two are always talking about their like nieces and nephews. Then you always come in with a picture to that person like, "Oh, do you think my
This-
cat?"
that
It's
she
an
Pull out a
is
picture
my
of the
niece.
cat.
It's a cat, by the way, for everyone. It's a cat.
It's
She's
a
my
cat.
niece.
I
is your
I
niece.
agree.
So what we have done, we want to make this a podcast kind of ritual. A lot of the videos and podcasts that we listen to give advice, and I hope that obviously we write songs that a lot of people get some kind of deep, meaningful connection to. So we thought your problems, we'd love to hear them, give some advice. Obviously, we all give very different advice, but hopefully any of it will help you. So
We also have the proverb book if we get stuck.
if we get stuck,
True.
obviously. So let's start off with one that definitely we can all relate to, which I'll start, which is Dear Crawler's Agony Aunt, how do I survive secondary school? From an anonymous on Instagram.
I think with school, right, when you're there, it's like it's the only thing that exists in your
is.
life,
Man.
and it's very, very consuming, and it's very, like, in the moment, it's very like, oh my god, this is my life, like.
Death.
And then, like, when we look back at it now, obviously, like, leaving high school many years ago now, it's like, oh,
Really don't give a shit.
it's like,
Yeah.
why did I care so much at the point? Do you know,
But
at
it's
the
so
time?
it's so
weird.
annoying because adults tell you that when you're younger, and you're like, oh, but it matters to me now.
Yeah, because you think, and this is one piece of advice I'll share because I think this really helped me kind of keep my blinders on because, you know, I didn't suffer from terrible mental health until after I left school. So maybe then it hit. But in school, one thing that kind of helped me a lot was I attended lots of different clubs. Like, I think not enough people kind of talk about this. And I know this can get like really hard. But in school, I did judo, which I speak about quite a bit. I was also at all the music clubs. I did guides, which is really funny now. Obviously, I've got some stories about that. But I did loads of different things. I also did a little bit of working. I ran a drama club where I wrote scripts and wrote music and things like that. I really tried to keep myself in the broader world as well as kind of giving myself respite time. Obviously, a lot of that was glued to my phone. But I think that really helped me keep my blinders on because there was so much going on around me with my amazing friends because I was such a floater in high school. And a lot of it I don't even remember because I was so swept up in all of the, you know, I was playing trumpet for wind band, or I was writing a part in guitar ensemble, or I was training for a judo competition I had. And I think that really helped me because it made me realize that school wasn't everything. And I think I was like, wow, I want to train for this. I want to do this and want to do that, because as an adult, like especially now, I had this big realization going, man, I really miss hobbies. I really miss having something to look forward to that's not work, especially now. My favorite hobby has become my job, and I think it really helps you get through finding something that makes your heart sprinkle. You don't have to be good at it. Oh my god, there were so many things I weren't that good at. I'm still not that good at trumpet, but I went to all my.
But that's
I love
the point.
playing it.
That's the point of a hobby, though.
Exactly, and there were so many other things. Like I wasn't the best at script writing, but I loved creative writing, and I really gave it a good go. I think that's my advice, and I think that's the one thing that kept my head.
I think just try and look forward. As consuming as school is just like. It's not going to be your whole life. It's like 5 years out of your whole life.
What you're saying is you just got to crack on.
What I'm saying is you just got to crack on.
No, I think you're right, though. Like, I think when you have those hobbies as well, that's when you find, like, your closest friends. Because you find people who are, like, into the same things as you. And I promise you, in about 10 years' time, you won't even think about the people who are around you who try to make you feel shit. You'll only be thinking about the people who stuck around.
Completely.
And, for sure, definitely, like, when you're saying about clubs, like, I wasn't really like that big into like clubs. I think I was like, I'm very much an introvert. I liked hiding away in my bedroom, like playing guitar, playing bass, or like gaming or something like that. Like whatever it is, like just keep doing what you're doing. Like those people really don't matter. Like yes, it is your whole world at that point, but you will find the people who make you happy and make you confident and give you that reason to feel confident and be who you are. And it might not be in high school. It isn't for everyone. That's not a bad thing. I can promise you, like the people who are like, you know, on top and thriving in high school, that will be the only time that will happen for them.
Oh man, for sure. And a lot of people have said that. And I think you shouldn't also, I don't think you should need to hold a grudge to anyone in high school, man. We're all children just fighting to kind of survive at that point. And one thing I remember, I cosplayed, and I laugh about it a lot, but that taught me I made costumes, I got good at makeup, and I made so many friends going to Comic-Cons. And my best friend has been with her girlfriend since they met in high school at a Comic-Con. And they've been together this whole time. And Chloe's like one of my closest friends. And I think you really meet your people, and those are the kind of the times I look back on. I don't really remember classes too much, but I remember my music teacher, and I remember my friends in those little hobbies moments, the gaming, the stuff like that. That's the stuff that obviously you'll find the thing that makes you happy, because a lot of things like photography and art, a lot of that stuff is not really covered in school, but in sixth form there's great things that really go into that, like performance course. That's what we did in college, and you know, that was not really too much of an option for some people at school.
And just to validate 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds who are having a tough time, like, kids are fucking brutal.
They're horrible people.
Kids are fucking brutal.
They are so mean.
Like, none of us are surprised. I think you realise it more when you're older and you look back at some of the shit that kids used to do to each other in the playgrounds, and you're like, fuck me, that is like ruthless.
I was speaking about like primary school. This is primary school. These kids, we have this meme in the band because it was a thing growing up for me. And I was never too troubled in like primary, but like, there was this thing, we'd always play like singing games together, but like at this point, if you were boring, one person would start this chant going, boring person, and then like everyone would join in and like belittle this person.
Brutal.
Do you know what I mean?
No fucks given.
Why were they so mean? And like now you look at it in your adulthood life and you're like, God, everyone was a
Yeah, I think
bitch.
like there's like an age. I want to say from like the age of 8 to probably about 17. You're a dickhead.
You're a dickhead,
You
yeah.
are a dickhead.
I've been a dickhead.
I'm still a dickhead.
People were dickheads to me.
Different type of dickhead though.
Do you reckon people look at you as like part of the problem? Like when you were younger?
No, not at all. I think
What do you mean?
I was bullied and
As
just
in,
blind
like,
to it.
do you reckon other people looked at you and were like, oh, I need to avoid Liv in case she says something?
No,
or-
because I was the easy target.
I
I was the
was-
one that everyone bullied.
I was a target who hid in the music
And it's fine.
rooms, and that's
It's
fine.
worked out well for me. So
I mean, you're listening to my podcast, aren't you? I really hope that helps. And if you're struggling with the high school, you are not alone. And I hope any of this helped. And if not, you are so valid in your struggles. Amy, have you found any that are...
I found one, yes, which I think is a good one.
Go on, Angel.
It says, I have a crush on my ex. We just reconnected recently and I have feelings again. What do I do?
can I take this one actually, because I feel like I might
take
have a good
You
answer.
take
I
it.
feel like we need more information though.
There's a lot
Take it for what
Because
it is.
they could be an ex because they like moved away and now they've moved back. You can't just assume the worst.
It could have
you
been
know?
a positive relationship.
regardless of what the context is, all you can do is tell them. Like,
What if they're a dick?
well, it's up to that person what they do with that information. But if they go, hey, look, this is just how I feel about you, and I want you to know so that I can relax in these feelings, and then we're both on the same page, nothing's being hidden. What you do from there is then up to you, but all you can do is tell them how you feel.
I think that as a generation, we've become very scared of communication. I think we live in subtext and we live in assuming because
Memes.
of well, we do. Well, we're so scared of the commitment of once we've said it, we've said it. Do you know what I mean? You can't go back, and that's commitment issues in many things. And I think a lot of people are sometimes scared to say that flat out to their ex. Hey, I don't. I've definitely shy of that stuff
And
too.
absolutely, like, don't get me wrong, it's a very difficult conversation to have, but life is full of them. Like, life is literally just one difficult conversation to the next, and all you can do is try and navigate that the best that you can. And if you're not honest, you're gonna sit with these feelings, and eventually you're probably gonna fumble over them, and
true.
you know, some awkward situation might happen because you've not been honest about how you feel. If you turn to your ex and go, hey, look, I still have feelings for you, I just want you to know, like, you don't have to do anything with this information, but I just wanted you to know so that, you know, we're both on the same page. And they go, okay, well, thank you for telling me, but I don't feel that way about you. That's fine. All you had, like, I think it's about, like, your end goal of the conversation.
We're scared of cringe and embarrassment when that's the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah, I think
Cringe
you
is
need
cringe.
to sort of, like,
It's cringe to be
I think
cringe.
you need to get over that. It's like, if your end goal for the conversation is just to air how you feel and not expect anything out of it, then you can't be disappointed.
I think that's helped us a lot in our adult life. That,
Absolutely.
for sure. I think one thing to kind of bear in mind with the combo is like, what is your ex to you? Is there a reason you're ex? I think you were so right.
I think that's the main thing. Like, why did you break up in the first place? I mean, we can't just like sit here and give like theories as to why. I think it comes down to whether or not it sort of devalued the relationship in the first place. If that was the reason why. If it was just a matter of things fizzled out or one of you moved away, then yeah, sure, like reconnect with them, see what's going on. If it's anything other than that, if it's anything that was a bit of a sticky situation, then it's probably not worth it.
It's hard, I think, because you could be like really young when something happened and then there's a level of forgiveness. But then what's annoying is so many ex-partners kind of happen now because something terrible happened. I think I'm at a point now where I'm an adult and a few relationships of mine have stopped just because we're adults and we're not going the same way anymore. And we just feel different, or we're honest about our feelings. It's a very different situation. Whereas,
Well, I mean, if nothing else, you've been honest with yourself. And that's the most important thing. Like, if you try and bury these feelings, it's not going to work.
it's true.
It's true.
I think one thing with our friends is that we've learned that, and I think that's great advice, Liv. Do you want to pick one?
Go on then.
These have all been submitted from our Instagram DMs. When we're doing another Agony, we'll pop it on there, and you are welcome to submit your problems to us.
I'm not sure how good we'll be at answering this, but we'll give it a go anyway.
Okay.
I was in bands in my early 20s. Then I stepped away from music. I'm now 32. Am I too old for music?
No.
No.
Man, I always use C6 Steve as an example for this. But he didn't get into music till he was like well into like late 60s, and he's like selling out like huge venues, made his rest of his career.
Yeah.
Like, my dad turned to me and was like, I want to start a band with my mate from work. And, you know, my dad's in his late 50s now. And I just said, do it. He's always been into music. It's how I got into it. And I like, there's just, man, life is so short. We don't know what is going on. Like, you just got to do it.
Why wouldn't you do it?
It's
You know
mad
what I mean?
that stigma is attached to the music industry, but it's not set for like actors or something. Like some actors don't break until they're like 60, whereas a lot of people think you have to break in your 20s when you're a musician.
Honestly, I think it's attached to you have to be physically fit in a band. You have to be physically attractive, which I think is just the worst. And it's true though. I've definitely had that annoying feeling in myself that number one, I'm too old, because our band, we were starting to propel steam at the same time Olivia Rodrigo was getting these number ones. And obviously she's a few years younger. And I had this point of being like, oh my God, am I old? I'm like, no, I've hardly lived life yet. But I guess it's just in your head, you always have to be better and also attractive to someone, which is unfortunate. And I think knocking that stigma back and doing something because you're enjoying it is what's important.
But also you're right, like how many bands actually like really break through and they'll be in their 30s. Like there is no age limit on anything. Like I think that's something that's so upsetting. Like when people are like,
Kind of proverb.
"Oh, I couldn't dye my hair that color because I'm too old now. Oh, I can't wear that because I'm too old now. I couldn't do my makeup like that because I'm too old now. I couldn't get that. I couldn't do this. I can't do that. Blah blah blah." You can, of course, you can.
Also, you don't have to break if you're in a band. Like you can
Do
just
it for
still just
fun.
be in a band. and
Obviously,
enjoy
I guess
yourself.
it's easy for us to say that because it can cause some kind of concern.
Here's
but-
a good one for you. Never is a long time.
Whoa. Wait, actually, that fits really well with it.
That
There you go.
does.
Yeah.
It does. I think
Never is a long time.
I just think it's really important to note that like when we were playing in rooms, we played with we were normally the youngest band there, weren't we? And we played with so many bands who were a lot older than us who were just having a fucking great time, you know.
Yeah, a lot of people just do music not necessarily to like get a career out of it. So
Also, you've probably got loads of experience at 30 as well. Use
Yeah.
it. You've got more advantage than we do.
Completely.
We're winging it.
We are fucking winging it.
winged.
Imposter syndrome is real.
I think
Yeah.
one thing that like is to know, I didn't know how to play guitar at all before first lockdown, like at all. Like I was so bad. I'd send Amy these voice notes and it would just be me like one strumming with my index finger. And over first lockdown, because obviously I had the time, I was like, I'm just gonna learn. And if you set aside that time, no matter how, because I was really scared that I wouldn't, because obviously you two have been playing since you were little and you kind of had that muscle memory. And with my other instruments like singing and piano, at least I had a few lessons growing up as a kid, but with like guitar I hadn't, and I was really inwardly hating myself for not being able to pick it up. But it can be hard, because it is hard because you don't have that muscle memory like some do, but it is possible. And I can now play guitar live, which is something I've always dreamed of doing. Even though I don't play much, it's a great step, you know?
Yeah. The only person stopping you from doing anything you want to is you.
Capitalism.
Is that a proverb?
It could be.
Probably.
Proverb,
Shall I read
live,
another one of these?
England. Yeah,
Let's have
Harry.
I
another.
don't know what your passcode is. I graduate uni this year and I'm not ready to become a real adult. Advice? Neither are we.
Can we just say that we absolutely scraped uni by the skin of
scraped
our
uni.
teeth and absolutely winging our career? And most of the people that are older than me, when I speak to like, you know, people who are like my parents' age, that kind of vibe, are all just like, just kind of winged it my whole life.
Yeah. I think life is just winging it and you get better at hiding the fact that you're winging it. I think that's what maturing is.
That's what we're doing, by the way.
I think one thing as well is that, like, I think a lot of people overestimate how much is possible when you leave university. I think with especially how finances currently work, how the economies are gonna, I think there's a lot of people who see influencers online, they see things in media where it's like, I'm 19 and I've bought a house and I've done this and I've done this and I'm living in LA, why aren't you doing this? Or it's this grind culture, when they don't realize that you've been slaving away at a degree, you've been in this education system, you've been working to live at this point. Like, it's really, really, really hard to get a job. And firstly, you shouldn't feel down about yourself just because you're at a moment where you've just come out of uni and you're a bit like, oh, shit, I don't know what to do. Everyone's in the same boat, I promise you. We are very fortunate where...
I think a lot of the conversations that happen like in uni are always like, oh, especially like in this kind of like creative industry, is like, are you going to go to move to London then? Or like,
Yeah.
what job are you going to get? And it's like, I don't know. Like, I've only just finished kind of like learning about everything that I could do.
Hmm.
And
you're competing with most people who have a degree nowadays too.
Everyone's got
a degree, which is obviously like so different. Like when I speak to my mum was like, oh, well, not everyone had a degree. You'd kind of go into your profession that you've been studying for if you had it, or you'd have a job and kind of work your way up. Whereas now,
like you can't get a job without a degree.
It's starting to get to a point now where everyone's going to start getting masters, and then there'll be like another level of education.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll need like a PhD or a doctorate.
Yeah. I think as well, like just don't, like, it's easy to say, but it's just like easier said than done. It's like don't rush into like a job that isn't necessarily like what I'm trying to say is like don't feel the pressure to go and work somewhere because everyone else is.
Yeah. Loads of my mates started working 9 to 5s like straight away as soon as they
graduated. That's what I mean. It's just kind of like, obviously, like I've you know worked a lot of jobs in my life while I was like figuring out what we were gonna do and all this, and that's kind of like what I did for a while, was just work until I was like, this is what I want to do, and that's what we did.
I think it's definitely best for like 2 or 3 years once you leave uni. Maybe just have like the 9 to 5 as like a plan B, but just spend those 2 or 3 years like cultivating your own sort of lifestyle, your own choices, and just figure out what it is you actually want to be and what you want to do.
Obviously, it's hard because, you know, there is a position of privilege in saying that, where you can live at home and save money, or you've found a job that can pay for a rent where you're living. Like, obviously, I'm not going to say that we don't come, you know, that if I said, Mom, I need to live at home for like a few months, my mum would obviously let me because, you know, she's great, and some people don't come from that. I think what's hard is just recognizing that you're not in an easy boat. Everyone has come out of uni and is all going in for this job market that is slowly declining, and the wealth divide's getting bigger. Like, students are coming out broker than ever. It is really hard and sad.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just thinking about this now, and I'm like,
yeah, we get more and more depressed.
It is,
we need to give positive advice.
Yeah, I think we're quite lucky as well, because like we have a very good job. But I think all I would say is like, stop worrying about other people. Like, nobody knows what they're doing. Nothing's perfect. Like, they can make it out to be as perfect as they want to be. Everyone's got issues in life. Nothing is perfect. Like, just worry about yourself.
Completely. And don't lose the things that you enjoy in life just because you're an adult now. There are so many adults who stop doing hobbies, like I was kind of saying earlier, or lose those things just because, oh man, I need to get a 9 to 5 or something like that. Find the job that you feel like. One of our friends, she'd saved up money and planned to go traveling, and that's what she did, and she's having a fucking ball right now, and that was her plan. And I feel like you don't need to be in some sort of restraint. It's your path, and you just got to do it.
Do you know what?
Crack on. Thing to say.
Crack on.
Do you know what like phrase I love at the minute, and I can't stop thinking about?
Say it.
It's that whole thing of like, yes, you're an adult, but like you're a 3-year-old adult, or you're a 4-year-old adult, or something.
True.
Like you may be like in your early 20s, but you were like a 3-year-old adult. Like, stop worrying. It's fine.
I never used to get when like adults I look up to told me, like when I was like 20, like, oh my god, you're so young. And now I'm like, I am so young. I'm so young. And you're so young. If you're coming out of uni, that's like huge.
I mean, that was us last year.
Also, be proud of yourself. You've just had 3 years of extremely hard education. Like that's a lot. So I'm nearly burped then. I think be proud of yourself too, and recognise that you've just been huge. I hope that was advice.
I'm not sure.
Enjoy yourself is what we're saying.
Thank you so much for everybody who's submitted their Agony Aunt questions for our podcast. If you enjoyed it, we'll be setting up more questions that you can receive, and maybe even setting up an email with big questions that you kind of want us to dive into.
And more proverbs to go with that.
More proverbs.
Always more proverbs.
Always.
I want to thank you guys so much for watching episode 2 of The Crawlers I Can't Even podcast. Make sure that you've watched all episodes that are out, and stream our new song that is currently
all
that
two of them.
time of year always. We have been Crawlers.
Woo.
Good night.
Bye.